Hello and welcome to this video again. This is the second in the series of saving data in files. So in the first video what we did is we learned how to save data through shared preferences and also read data back from shared preferences using the same key and show over here, display over the top right corner how many times this application has been opened. So not now what you want to do is, if you look at this editor, there's no button over here. It's just similar to a notepad, or it's just to record notes. As soon as you exit this application or you just close this application, it will automatically persist your data. This is what the purpose of this application is. And what we want to do now is basically uh, create some without creating the listeners, create two methods, and using those methods and using the events which occur in Android Studio, we will actually save. So whenever this application has been hidden, it will save the data whatever has been written, and whenever we open it back, it will open and show it. Now reading and writing both will be covered here, and if I can just show this to you. um, just a second. I can close this, and as soon as I come back, I should be able to see whatever I've written over here back. So that is what we want to do, and this is obviously being updated because we have finished the shared preferences already. So let's start with this. First of all, what we want to do is we will create two methods for reading and writing. No listeners involved here, so just I'll create some space after on create, outside on create. Read from file and also write from file. And it's always better when we are dealing with variables that we actually create um, a variable which we will be using, which is actually having some values. So the variable having common values, we just declare them at the top and then we can use them instead of writing them as a string inside the methods or inside the values. So I'll just create private static final string, and this is going to be my file name. So file name, whatever the file name is, I'll just give my file name, and it is my saving data file. Okay, now the name of this file is saving data, and it doesn't have to be .txt or docx, etc., because this is your internal to your application, and your application is only having right to read this, and we will be actually reading them ourselves using the bytes etc. So let's use this instead of this the actual value, because later on, even if we have to change the values, we can just come here and change it, and wherever it's being used it will be changed. So let's write a program method, uh, private void read file. So actually we write it as read file, but what it's gonna do is actually it's gonna read and display on the text view. Which text view? This editor text view. So let's go ahead and write this. So first of all, we'll just create file input stream. File input stream is to read from a file is equal to open file input, and we are going to read from our file name, this file name. Yeah. Okay, and while we are reading, the problem is there can be a exception. The file is not found, or file is locked or somehow. So what we do is actually we create try and catch. So let's do that. Try, close try, and also catch. So it's actually catching file not found exception. So let's do that. File not found exception, fnfex. You can give it whatever variable name you like. I'm just, for the sake of convenience, I'm giving fnfex. And when this happens, I'm just gonna show in a toast that file not found, uh, uh, file not found except error, and I'll just show a message here also, fnfex dot get message. So I got the message, And now it's also saying that there is a variable expected. Yes, indeed there's a variable expected over here. File input stream fi is equal to file input stream, and then we need to be reading the file also, and we read it into our string. So what we do is first we check how many bytes are available to be read. So what we do is int size available, meaning how many bytes we can read. What we do is fi dot available, and give me my that string. What does it say? IO exception. So we add another exception here, just complaining that it can throw an IO exception. So I'm just gonna IO ex and toast dot make text, and we'll just write here now input or problem reading from file, and that's IO exception dot get message. So the detailed message also we will print. So how many bytes are available, I'll find out now, and then based on that I'll just create my byte buffer, which is actually new byte. It's an array, and I'm gonna just read everything into my size available. Yeah, I'm gonna read everything into my buffer. And how much is the size of that buffer? This is the size. So let's say it can, I wrote 500 characters, so it will say you can read 500 characters, and then I'll create a variable which is an actually array of byte of 500 size. So now I'm gonna read. I haven't read yet. Now I will start reading. fi dot read, and I want to be reading it into my buffer. So what I will do, I'll just write here buffer. So the file input stream will read into my buffer, and then once I have read, I will just say fi dot close, and then I'm gonna create a string of UTF-8. So string file info or file content is equal to new string based on this buffer which we just created, buffer comma, and I'm gonna encode it into UTF-8 because which is the standard format for the text in which we exchange the text. So this is my file content, and I've saved this now. And now because this file content has to be read, I have to actually show this into the editor, which is this editor view. So let's do that. I'm going to show this onto the editor. So editor view dot set text and file content. If you see that, I am actually creating objects over here. I'm just creating file input stream so I can read from this input stream, and the file is the file name which I've just declared at the top, saving data. And then I'm going to check how much is the available text I can get. Based on that, I create a array of bytes, and then I read all in one go without a loop. No loops, I just read everything in one go into my buffer, the byte buffer. And once I've read it, I close my input stream so the connections to the resources are freed, and then I convert everything into a nice string from the buffer, which is actually a byte, to a string, and then I wrote it onto the editor. So this is what I'm doing. Currently I can't see anything if I run this because there is nothing into the file. First I need to be writing something into the file. So for that I need to create the write method. So let's do that. I'll create a write method, private void write to file. Let's do that. I'm going to write to my file, and first of all I'll create my like input stream. I'll create my file output stream, excuse me. File output stream FOS is equal to null, FI for file input stream, FO or FOS for file output stream, and then I will read file output. So let's do file output. I'll create file output so I can actually write to my file, open file output, and this should be the same file you've read it from, not a different file, the same file. I'm just gonna write file name in comma context dot mode, sorry, context with C capital, context dot mode, yeah, that was right, mode private. Okay, now obviously this is throwing a exception, so we need to catch this. I'll show you a quick solution for this. Just select whatever the code is which is actually giving you error that it needs to be surrounded with a try catch. Just click on code surround with and try catch finally. Actually finally is better because it's also telling us what will happen in the end. So if I'm closing my file input stream. Yes, I am. Okay, no problem. So let's go ahead. I just opened file for the output. I need to now write the output, fos dot. I'm gonna write whatever is written on the editor. On this editor, whatever is written, this editor, which is actually this editor. Okay, so on this edit text, whichever has been written, I'm gonna write that to a file. This is the editor view, which is actually this can be the same names, and I would normally give them the same names. Let's come down. This is my read file and this is my write file. I would like to write to the editor. So the way you write to the editor is you want to write from the editor, you want to read from the editor and write into the file. So let's do that. Whatever is written on the editor, editor view dot get text. So we read all that and we write it to the file dot to string, and we also convert that to bytes. Okay, so what happens when you convert them to the bytes is actually they are now bytes. Yes, this is a byte buffer and we got text or to string or get bytes. Yeah, that's right. So this is a byte array I'm getting, and this should say that I need a exception to be caught, add catch clause. Okay, exception caught clause. So this is the way. If you take this suggestion, you can actually write that code automatically, or you select that code like this and go to code and surround with, or you can type by yourself, which I've done. So I have actually read this from the editor, saved this or wrote it to the file. Now I need to close the connection. First close, and finally you can say file successfully written. So I'll say toast file written successfully. Now notice you can also write some, for example, in some cases you can also do fos.close, file output stream.close. Why close over here? Because basically when you're opening it, you say open file output and there is some exception which occurs, then it will not go to write or close, it will just jump down to file now not found. So it's better to close it in the end and finally also. So I'm just gonna write fos.close, or if fos is not equal to null, meaning if it is already not null. If it is not, I expect it to be null because the file and output stream has been closed. But if in case it is not, then please close it, fos dot close, and there will be another exception thrown here. So there will be another try catch inside the finally. So try catch, just do that and it will be done. So it will make sure that your output stream will be closed in all cases. It will not be remaining open. This is my write to file. This is my read from file, or read. Let me just say read from file. Okay, so if I run this, it will not work because I'm not calling these methods from anywhere. There's no button listeners, etc., which call these methods. However, there are two methods, if you remember, for overriding. So if I uh, see the override, there's a shortcut for override, control O. Well, I'm sure there's a method also. There's an option here also for override. Okay, anyway, if you find it, please let me know, or just leave it in the comments. But control O is a shortcut. Which one do you want to override? I want to override on restart, and I also want to override on pause. So let's select both of them on OK. So it will write that code for you, and just after the first line, which is super, just calling the parent on restart, just after the first line, I want to call the read from file. So on pause, on resume was the one I needed, so I'm just changing this to on resume. Make sure not restart, non resume. On resume is the one I need. What I want to do, whenever it reads it, it should also read from the file. So read from file, please. And when you read, please display on the editor whatever you've read. And when you've paused, please also write whatever is in the editor. Write to file. Whenever you are paused, just read whatever on the editor is and write it to the file. Let's pause this and play, see what happens. Yeah, saving data. Okay, it should run a build first, and then it should install the activity. This is the 10th time it is starting. Let's see. So this is let's see, and I want to now close this application, and it's actually just sending me a toast, file written successfully. So my application is closed. Let me just open this back again, saving data, and you will see when it starts, it reads it and displays here back again whatever I've written. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you liked watching this, and if you have learned anything new, please hit the like button. Thank you again for watching.